Greetings and salutations, friends. We are back live here on Truthseekers. You know, this has kind of become the story that just wouldn't end. Earlier in the week, I started my coverage on this Dybbuk box story, and I kind of went back down a rabbit hole that I hadn't seen for some time, remembering this great story and wanting to bring it to some of my friends. So we went back in part one through the history of the origins of this legendary Dybbuk box, where the story came from, originated from. We provided some historical background about actual Dybbuks and Jewish folklore, talked about the cultural significance of this thing called the Dybbuk box. Interestingly, I couldn't let it go at that. I wanted to check in with what's been happening. So we did a part two with additional sourcing and information about what's been happening with the Dybbuk box in more modern times. Just recently, Zach Baggins, who describes himself as a celebrity ghost hunter, I'm not sure if that means he hunts celebrity ghosts or he considers himself a celebrity and a ghost hunter. I don't know. Not a huge fan of this Zach Baggins guy because I had previously seen a documentary of his, I believe it's called Hell House. Very hokey, any little thing, you hear a noise, that's a ghost, and there's something about these ghost shows that I don't like. Well, they show these meters and stuff like, see, it's a ghost. The magnetic fields are off the charts. They never provide actual, measurements and reports of these so-called scientific instruments that they're using. They also use things like ghost boxes, which is a little box you're supposed to put in a room, and somehow the spirit knows how to manipulate modern electronics to communicate in English to you. If it's an English ghost hunter, that ghost is going to communicate to you in English through this ghost box. There's just a lot of hokey stuff with these ghost hunting shows that I don't really think is real. I think it's kind of made up fantasy world. These people are like running around like the Ghostbusters with this meter, and nobody knows. They don't explain these things. Every one of these shows that I've seen, they do the same kind of thing, film it in green, right? Or, infrared, night vision, make it real creepy, add the creepy background music. Hey, I'm guilty of some of that myself. But something about these ghost shows, it really does not compute with me. They just seem very hokey and staged, and listen, there's no show if you don't see ghosts or ghost activity. And these shows are a lot like the Finding Bigfoot and all this stuff. Like they heard knocking, it's got to be Bigfoot. The ghost shows are the same thing. Heard a creak upstairs, it's got to be a ghost. Folks, I don't know what I think, but I don't know what I think about a lot of whether these stories are true or not. But some of these ghost shows are sensationalized, over dramatic nonsense to me. I've not found, one that really was offering compelling evidence or scientific evidence. It's all subjective. Like, we heard a noise, we heard a voice, I heard a whisper. And then inevitably somebody tells some kind of story. I saw a shadow on the wall over there, but they miss getting it on film, or they barely get it on film, and it's grainy and it's hard to see what's supposed to be a ghost. And I'm unconvinced, totally unconvinced with some of this stuff. But we've gone this far down this rabbit hole, friends. We've gone this far, right? One of the biggest takeaways, I did some more research today into just actual Jewish folklore and legends, and this thing called the Dybbuk, which is supposed to be the spirit inhabiting this Dybbuk box. And what I found time and time again is stories of Dybbuks possessing people, and then a special rabbi, usually had to be a rabbi that was a Kabbalist For those that don't know, the Kabbalah is sort of like Jewish mysticism, and some rabbis are well knowledgeable in Kabbalah rites and ceremonies and, I guess, this form of Jewish magic. So I found time and time again stories of a Dybbuk possessing somebody. Never until this Dybbuk box story originated did we ever see a Dybbuk bound to a box or any other object. It would only be a possession of another person, not a box. This, to me, just makes me think that this Dybbuk box story is manufactured. If there was a real thing called a Dybbuk box, we would see some other mention of it in Jewish mythology, Jewish folklore, Jewish stories, Jewish fiction even. We don't see this. It's only when we get to the modern version of this so-called true story of the Dybbuk box do we find a Dybbuk bound to a box. Now, I don't know. I also did a little bit of research into binding, or binding a spirit, and I found ample evidence that there are lots of different magical ceremonies and spells and rites in different religious systems or magic systems that some may say could be used to bind a certain spirit to an object. This is kind of used as an explanation for some of these haunted objects, haunted dolls. Somebody bound an evil spirit to this doll, this totem pole. So if I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, if I want to be fair about this Dybbuk box, maybe somebody found a Dybbuk. And then maybe someone cast a spell, did a ceremony, did something to bind this Dybbuk spirit to this box. One thing I will say that's kind of fascinating to me is that everybody that has this box in their possession claims to have very similar effects. They feel sick around the box. They hear voices. They see shadows. They have terrible nightmares, which culminate in some evil hag beating the shit out of them. That's kind of cool and creepy at the same time that multiple people who were in possession or near this box experienced this kind of phenomenon. Could some of that be just the power of suggestion? Somebody tells you that box is evil, like Post Malone, this evil box, and suddenly you start feeling like you got cursed somehow. I think the jury's still out, friends. So I'm going to turn my attention to the live chat here. Okay, and shout outs. Let's see who we have here tonight. Oh, we have Super V Fun Cat. Shout out to Super V Fun Cat. Shout out to Phil Blair. Shout out to Jeanette Krasenko. Shout out to Solar Marshall, Dan Hogan, Rick Von Himmlich Spluner. Please pick an easier name for me to say. Please, Rick. Von Spluner. What is that anyway? Shout out to Phil Blair. I think I got everyone in there. Okay. Okay. Solar Marshall. Where is the Sarah Adams stuff? I don't know if you saw the last couple of shows, but I've been explaining that. So we started this strange case of Sarah Adams. I had one session or reading, healing session, whatever you want to call it. I felt some physical effects, initially got very excited. Then I had two more sessions and did some background research on her, and my level of excitement dropped significantly. She offered to do some sessions for a terminally ill patient that I know, someone who is terminally ill. Their days really are numbered, and they don't have long to live. Do I think she can heal them? No, not really. But I've heard various stories of her giving great comfort to people who were about to make that transition. My friend sort of saw the show, was interested in her or maybe what she could do for him. So I got them connected. And Sarah Adams, to my knowledge, has given him one, but there will be 2 more sessions. She may have completed those already. My apologies to Miss Adams. I was supposed to call her today. Things got a little crazy and hectic. Haven't called her. So, Solar Marshall and everyone, after she's done with the sessions with this terminally ill patient, um, then we're going to proceed. I think she wants me to interview her manager, and then we'll talk, and somebody else that works for her. Maybe we'll jam those both in one quick show, and then we'll get to the interview with her and some form of wrap up or resolution to the strange case of Sarah Adams. Solar Marshall, if no Sarah Adams, I have to get some rest up at 4 a.m. Yeah, tonight we're going to do the rest of the Dybbuk box story, which is Zach Baggins opening it recently. And yeah, so if you're really interested in the strange case of Sarah Adams, tune in. I don't know, a couple of days, maybe a week, we'll get back onto that case. So I thought we could, I guess we're going to start. Let me see which tab here I have. Okay. All right. Now I have a disclaimer. 1 second. I have to find a file here, friends. Yeah, so the other thing that I should mention while I'm doing this is that the idiots, well, I don't want to say idiots. Okay, so the powers that be decided that I used a copyrighted clip from a show that was on Fear TV, which is Paranormal Witness, and that show is owned by NBC Universal. So they copyright claimed my video, part 1 of this Dybbuk story, and got the video taken down. It was unviewable. And so it took 2 days, friends, for me to, I had to twice tell YouTube, okay, clip that part they object to out and put my video back. It took 2 days. These things take forever, and there's no people at YouTube. It's all robots. So finally today, that show is back with that portion clipped out of it. And really, it's not that relevant. Out of an hour and 45 minutes, they clipped a minute and 30 seconds or something like that, or maybe even 45 seconds. I'd have to check again. So it is what it is, friends. But that being said, now, just to be clear and to, make sure that we do this, tonight I'm going to be using some clips. And I just want to give this fair use copyright notice disclaimer, which fair use, friends. I'm citing fair use. I can use these clips for the purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, including multiple copies for classroom use, scholarship, or research. And it is not an infringement of copyright. So, yeah, I'm putting this disclaimer right here on the screen. I'm citing fair use because we're going to watch some clips, but then we're going to be discussing those clips. And I'll stop every so often and comment and take comments. Please, friends in the live chat, while I'm playing these clips, comment on them and I'll put them up on the screen. This is a transformative work, and we have the legal right to critique, comment on, or report on these things out there in the public domain. So there we go. I've said my piece on the fair use. Let's hope this one doesn't get taken down too, but I think we should be okay. I'm going to be careful, more careful. I'm going to be a little more careful about using clips. I've talked to a YouTube creator friend of mine who I trust, who's been doing this forever, who told me that it's usually best to stay away from large media corporations stuff. And NBC Universal owns lots of stuff. Now we're going to be playing something from the Travel Channel or something. I don't know if, So yeah, it would be best to probably stay away from that stuff. But for the purposes of our discussion tonight, I want to bring everybody up to speed. So Zach Baggins buys the box. He's the third owner since the story broke and got so much media attention. And Zach Baggins, for those who don't know, has got a bunch of documentaries. He's sort of Mr. Ghost Hunter, and he had a bunch of paranormal, ghost hunting kind of shows on television and documentaries. And he has a haunted museum in Las Vegas. So he purchased the box. And it's important to note that he purchased the box 3 years ago. So listen, I give the guy a lot of credit, but if we believe the narrative that he spun here, first of all, he did a Halloween special and he streamed about opening this Dybbuk box for 4 hours. It was a 4-hour broadcast, and at the end of it, he refused to open the box. Now, there was some controversy about why he refused to open the box, and a lot of it centered around a rabbi that he brought in. And it's a funny part of this story is that the rabbi on film says something like, "I'm not going to follow your script. Or maybe I'm going against your script here, but I'm not afraid of this box at all." And then initially the rabbi apparently told Zach Baggins that if Zach Baggins opens the box, he'll be able to hold the Dybbuk, bind the Dybbuk back to the box. But then when he got there, it had a sort of change of heart on that. Like, I don't know what you mean by that. I think, I understand what a Dybbuk is. It's kind of like the rabbi wouldn't play along with the show. And even mentioned, maybe this is going against your script. So there was a lot of controversy that this was a scripted setup. Everything was a setup for this Halloween special. At the end of the deal, he did not open the box because he basically blamed the rabbi. Well, if the rabbi is not going to, be here to put the Dybbuk back in the box, then I can't open it. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, especially this 4-hour buildup. And he hyped the hell out of this Halloween special. The Dybbuk box. I'm finally going to open it. But then he didn't. Now, remember, friends, 3 years he's owned this box. He did this huge Halloween special where he was supposed to open the box, but didn't open the box. But lately, now we're supposed to believe that he did open the box. And we see, yeah, he opened the box. But my point is, we're supposed to believe that this man who is intensely fascinated and interested in ghosts and demons and demonology and the paranormal, we're supposed to believe that he's had this box just sitting in his museum for 3 years and he never opened it. I don't know about you, friends, but I find that quite a stretch. Really? You've had this box for 3 years? Sixth design, fair use statement. This video may contain transformative or derivative work for the purpose of education, commentary, and criticism, and is being distributed without profit. Well, I don't know that it's going to be distributed without profit. I saw that notice. Eventually, my channel may be monetized. It's still an allowable fair use. You're allowed to have a monetized channel, and fair use still applies. Okay, so first I found this interesting clip of him hyping or talking about how he's finally going to open this Dybbuk box. And this was a promotional thing about his show on the Travel Channel. Yeah. So we're going to share the screen here. Again, I'm going to cite fair use, fair use. We're going to be discussing this clip. We're going to be talking about this whole story, and I will be educating people as well. So we have multiple reasons that we can cite fair use in this circumstance. Okay, so one thing I got to remember to do is put up the volume on these videos. I'm sorry that previously I didn't realize that you have to do that. So we are gonna play this. I just want to stop it for a moment and comment. I don't know if anybody else caught this, but he's got like an ambient noise track in this video. which is kind of funny to me because if you were just going to be standing in a room with a box to talk about your upcoming television show, why would you take the time to put an ambient noise track, like a creepy ambient noise track, on this video? This seems so manufactured to me, but let's see what else he has to say. He has said multiple times that every time he's in this room, there's a special room at the museum. And I've been told that by people that I know that live in Las Vegas, that box is not this display that we're seeing right now. You pay your money to get into the museum, and for the last bunch of months, maybe 6 or 8 months, it has not been on display. He's keeping it in a separate room, which has led many people who pay to get in to be somewhat disappointed, or so I've heard. So apparently he's keeping it in a special room by itself. And every time he is in that room, he feels sick. He feels the strange energy from the box. I don't know. Yeah, why are all these events associated with the Dybbuk box? Well, no audio and clip. Well, let's try this again, friends. Okay, now we should have audio. So he was just talking about these weird effects that he feels, and today's the day, I'm going to open the box.
Tells about the mystery of it and just some things that we just really can't explain, can't comprehend. And, you know, tomorrow's a big day. Tomorrow's a big moment. And tomorrow is the 4th and final installment in our Ghost Adventures quarantine.
Yeah, so he drew out the Halloween special for 4 hours to open the box and didn't. And now he's drawn out the opening of the box to 4 episodes of this quarantine show that he's producing. A way to milk it, bro. Good for you. And hey, I don't blame him for that. I'm the same guy that's on my 3rd show talking about this thing. So
special that we did. And I want to say thank you all for tuning into that.
Yeah, this gets kind of like...
but I don't think that's a possible thing to do when you're dealing with this. I feel as though everything I say, it's recording. And I have a connection, and, you know, everybody can have their own opinion about this. That's fine. But everybody hasn't had this in their possession for about 3 years now.
Yeah, as I mentioned, he's had the box for 3 years, but we're supposed to believe, even though he's intensely interested in the paranormal, ghosts, demons, how about just open it and check in to make sure that the stuff that's in the box is still in the box when you purchase this? And I would love to know what he paid for this box, but I'm thinking that he paid...
Okay,
he might have paid 6 figures for this little wine box, friends. I don't know about you, but I'd open it and make sure that all the stuff that originally was supposed to be contained in the box was still in the box. Not to mention, like I said, he's got this huge interest in the paranormal, but we're supposed to believe for 3 years, he just left that box alone and never opened it. I kind of call bullshit on that, Mr. Baggins.
People haven't been observing the events of what I've been observing. So I'm talking to all groups out there, because what we're going to show you tomorrow, wish I could show you that. What we're going to show you tomorrow is an extremely fascinating compelling and terrifying investigation into something that we tried to do with this artifact before.
Yeah, I'd like to know, how does he know that it will be fascinating, compelling, and terrifying in advance? He knew a day in advance that opening this box is going to be fascinating, terrifying. Come on. This is kind of scripted nonsense, if you ask me.
And I firmly believe that the Dybbuk box is very aware of what's going on here. It's aware of me. And I have a very strong connection to this and what I believe is bound to it. Something that is very hard to put into words. It's like I can...
Yeah, I'm sorry, folks. We're going to have to skip ahead and see if he can't.
I don't know how or why I've come to own this, but I think from what I've been seeing, experiencing, feeling, I can see why now. And it truly only makes sense to me.
I just want to mention, he doesn't know why he owns it. He purchased it so that he could make money off of it doing television shows. I gotta believe that he knew when he bought the thing that he was going to make TV shows with it. He did not just buy the thing out of his own personal interest. If he did, he would have bought the thing and not publicized that he bought the thing. And maybe he would have got scientists to look at it. If he was truly interested in finding the answers behind this thing, how about letting some scientists in to do their work? You know, real science, not waving some ghost meters around and claiming that this thing has got a demon or a Dybbuk in it. I don't know, friends.
If that makes any sense. But I want to say, you know, this whole year, 2020, it's just been a real rough year, you know, for everybody, for the whole world. And as an investigator, you know, when this all started happening, the pandemic, and I cannot stop getting goosebumps. Like,
oh, he's getting goosebumps, friends. It's got to be the Dybbuk in the box causing the goosebumps. This is what I'm talking about with these shows. Any little thing that happens, got to be the ghosts.
my hairs are standing up, like nonstop. Can you see this? I don't know if you guys can see that or not.
Nope, can't see anything, Zach.
But, you know, just the uncertainty of all of this. This is something that none of us ever thought could ever happen in this time.
Okay, friends, we're gonna kill it there because he doesn't have anything else really relevant to say. But I'd like the setup. The setup is tomorrow. We are going to have amazing experience. How does he know in advance unless he's scripting that experience for his viewers? Okay, friends, so I'll turn my attention to the live chat here. Talking about fair use again. The fair use policy is quite vague. They do leave room for questionable violations and allowances just the same. Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, friends, so Bee Gees, Cambium, where's my damn wrench? Okay, let me get over there. I have to do that from the YouTube side of things, so hold on a second here, Bee Gees. Let me get you your wrench there, Bee Gees. Okay. Now let me get back to it. Yeah, Six of Design. Oh yeah, he had to have known he could make money off of it. Yeah, that I believe that buying that box was an investment for him. And he is not, I got to give the guy credit for listen, if you want to be successful, you got to be able to take risks. This guy bought an entire house just so he can make a documentary about it. He bought like some house, and it was kind of like in the ghetto somewhere. and like boarded it up. But the fact that this guy is willing to lay out huge amounts of money to give himself opportunities to create these television shows is interesting. It's very interesting to me. William Pixley, how are you doing tonight, Steve? Everything hanging proper? Yeah, last I checked, it is. So hey, Pix, shout out to you. So I found, like I said, I keep finding this stuff that's like on Dybbuk's, but I found almost nothing on Dybbuk boxes except for this story and lots and lots and lots of copycats. There are Dybbuk opening boxes all over YouTube right now. If you search Dybbuk box opening, you'll find 100 of them, maybe more, hundreds actually of them. And so I found this article, which is interesting because it's from a new book on the Kabbalah on how to deal with the Dybbuk. Before the advent of modern medicine, it was believed that certain mental illnesses were caused by demonic spirits taking control of afflicted person's body. In Jewish folklore, these spirits were called Dybbuks. They came from the domain of evil. The person could not be cured until they were exorcised, sent back to where they had come from. Yeah, so it goes on to talk about the domain of evil in Kabbalistic mythology. The greatest danger is when the demon clings to our soul. A clinging demon is called a Dybbuk. The Hebrew verb from which the word Dybbuk is derived is also used to describe the cleaving of a pious soul to God. So it is, the word sort of has multiple meanings. Kabbalistic folklore is full of stories about demonic beings. Demons themselves frequently took the shape of cats or black dogs. Okay, skip around here. Most frequently, that person is Dybbuk possessed was a woman. The image of a Dybbuk, usually male, penetrating her body is both sexual and an illustration of the doctrine of opposites, male and female, living and dead, pure and impure, all fused together in one human body. Exorcising a Dybbuk, removing the destructive forces from a pure soul, is not just an imperative to save that person who has been possessed, it is a battle in a cosmic war. Jewish women believed to be possessed by Dybbuks would have fared no better in Christian society. Yeah. Exorcising a Dybbuk involved removing it from the body in which it had taken up residence and returning it to the world of the dead. In this way, a small piece of the cosmic order would be restored. The Dybbuk, of course, did not want to go. A dramatic, terrifying ritual was required to force the reluctant spirit out of the body in which it was squatting. The ceremony was conducted in the synagogue in the presence of 10 men who had purified themselves through fasting and ritual immersion. They would all dress in white shrouds in which a corpse is buried, wreathed in prayer shawls, their heads and arms bound with the sacred parchments worn in daily prayer. So, this is really the story of the real Dybbuks in the Jewish culture and how they're dealt with. But what we do not find is any mention of, we find zero, friends. I found zero mentions of a Dybbuk box in any Jewish folklore. Even reached out to a few Jewish friends. None of them have ever heard of the Dybbuk box, except for this modern version of the Dybbuk box. So this again leads me to believe that this is a manufactured story. It's interesting to note that everyone who has owned this box, from the person who originally, sorry, friends reaching here. So from the person who originally came out with the story, he wrote a book, sold the rights to Hollywood to the story. That Hollywood movie was called The Possession. It was largely based on his experiences. The next person who purchased the box was I believe he's got a medical curiosity sort of museum. He purchased the box, apparently with the intention of debunking it, wasn't able to. And again, he made money from the box. Now we're on to the third owner, this Zach Baggins, who is for sure making money, charging admission for people to see the box in his museum and featuring it in several different television shows and specials. So it seems that as cursed as this box is, everybody that owns it makes a bunch of money off of it. This, too, my friends, leads me to believe that this is not a true story. It's a great story. I'd like it to be true. And hey, I could be wrong. Someday, if Mr. Baggins will let me, I'll open the Dybbuk box and see what happens. But I don't really see that invitation coming anytime soon from Mr. Baggins. If there's no profit in it for him, I don't think he's going to be interested in anyone like me that's maybe a little more skeptical than him looking into this box, and especially his many claims about the paranormal powers and experiences that this box generates, creates, or is involved in. I don't see that happening, friends. So Zach Baggins hypes up, I'm going to open the box. I'm going to open the box on Halloween. But then he didn't open the box. That was last Halloween. Now we get to more modern times. Just recently, Mr. Baggins had 4 more television show episodes about opening the box. But this time, maybe the stars were in alignment. Maybe he got the right rabbi to help him seal the box back up and jam that demon back in that evil box. This time, friends, he opened the box. And again, I just want to say, Zach Baggins, am I supposed to believe that you had this box for 3 years and you never opened it? Come on, bro. Come on. Really? But okay. But you're going to open the Dybbuk box now, and you're predicting a day in advance that it's going to be an amazing and terrifying experience. How would you know that it was going to be an amazing and terrifying experience a day in advance? Couldn't it just as easily have gone, they open the box and absolutely nothing happens? I would think that would be a possibility if your show was not scripted, pre-planned, and worked out to make it compelling and terrifying. And here's another thing about these ghost shows. Like I said, they all do the same thing. Like, let's have the infrared, cameras going, the night vision cameras going to make it creepy. And then we got to add creepy music and sound effects and every little thing that happens, whether it's a creak on the floor, a shadow passing by, a distant noise, a voice, a whisper somebody thinks they hear, it's all attributed to supernatural activity. Friends, that's not science. That's not the way this shit works. If you're really looking for evidence, you don't go right to the supernatural explanation for everything. You find if maybe there's somebody from the crew upstairs walking on those creaky old floorboards in that old house. It just seems kind of scripted and nonsensical to me. But what do I know? So I found one other thing that I thought was interesting here. I'm gonna share this, and again, this is fair use, but this is a written work. This is interesting. This is a 1,000-plus-year-old text of Jewish exorcism discovered. And it was found in a storehouse of religious manuscripts and fragments held at the University of Manchester's John Rylands Library, rescued from the 1,000-year-old storeroom, or Genizah, at the Ben Ezra Synagogue in Cairo. The fragment contains the second part of a prayer ritual in which the husband or husband-to-be of a widow recites an exorcism prayer, to which the other men gathered in the synagogue respond with a similar prayer. Apparently, Kamar, I think that would be Quamar, has been possessed by the spirit or Dybbuk of her late husband, Nissim ben Buna, while engaged to or just married with Joseph Moses ben Sarah. In the prayer, Joseph and the rest of the congregation ask God that the ghost may be expelled from Kamar and that the new family and all their possessions may be protected from the troublesome ghosts also in the years to come. Professor Gideon Bohak from the Tel Aviv University has worked with Dr. Smith has discovered that the prayer is ascribed to the famous 18th century Kabbalist Rabbi Shalom Sharabi. So there's just an interesting account. We think that this may have come from Egypt or Palestine, not only because the fragment originates from the Cairo Genizah, but also because Kamar, Arabic for moon, and Rama, mercy, are names of Arabic origin. So there's an interesting account of a Dybbuk being exercised and the prayers to do so on these old 1,000-plus-year-old parchments. Interesting background, but again, this proves that there's ample supportive evidence that Dybbuks have been around for a long time in Jewish culture, religion, and mythology. But a Dybbuk box is I believe it's a manufactured artifact. Sounds good, right? But is it a real Jewish artifact, or were there other Dybbuk boxes like this? Not that I found, not until the story originated. So, friends, let me do this. Let me do this again. Okay. We're going to give this fair use disclaimer again. And how long do you think I'm going to do this, friends, before I'm going to get tired of it and go back to just playing whatever and just saying fair use? So tonight we're going to be playing some clips from this Zach Bagans television show where he opened this Dybbuk box. And we're doing that for the purposes of criticism. We're going to be commenting on it. We believe that this is a newsworthy item. I'm going to be teaching. This is an educational program, after all, where we help educate the public about different subjects. So that being said, using these clips is certainly covered under fair use for multiple reasons. I'm going to be critiquing this show where he opened the box. I'm going to be commenting on it. I believe it's newsworthy, and we are educating people about this subject. So fair use, fair use, fair use, my friends. So what happened when he opened the box? First of all, if you watch the entire show, it is a long show with the buildup. I didn't watch the 3 hours before this. I just watched the 4th episode. It's the 4th hour. So now we have, if we count the 4-hour Halloween special and these 4-hour-long episodes, we have 8 hours of him going, I'm going to open the box. I'm going to open the box. I don't know. I find that a little stupid. Really? You're going to open the box, but you got to draw out 8 hours of content about opening the box, and the first 4 hours of content was this huge buildup, and then you didn't open the box. But now you made 4 more hours about this Dybbuk box, and now, Zach Bagans, you're going to open the box. But he did open the box this time. Now I've got this queued up, and again, we're going to say fair use. We're going to be discussing these clips. We're going to be commenting on them, and please do, friends, please do comment as these clips are playing, and I'll put your comments up on the screen. You'll help me to prove that this is a transformative work and fair use. So here we go. Okay. Now this is 22 minutes into the 4th episode where he's finally going to open the box, and here we go. Oh, cue the creepy music.
You don't see that? There's a black shadow standing against.
Oh, let's
saying anything.
Start this over.
I didn't say anything, dude.
Oh, that's not good. I hear you bubbling and saying things that was annoying me.
I just wanted to stop this here for a moment and say, hey, Zach Baggins, maybe, just maybe, if you turn down that ambient, creepy track that's blasting in the background, we could have heard. He just said that he heard the Dybbuk mumbling. Maybe if you turn that crap, creepy ghost hunter music ambient track down that's blasting, maybe we all could have heard the Dybbuk mumble. I don't know, Zach Baggins, but let's see what happens. Oh, now we're gonna get the Ghostbusters treatment here. We're gonna see some scientific meter, and he's gonna wave it around the box just like a real Ghostbuster would. Awesome, Zach Baggins. Let's see what happens.
I want everyone to remember this moment and how the static sensor is not detecting any static energy fields around the box.
Static fields are clear. What's that?
You gotta have the thermal imaging too. If you're gonna be a good ghost hunter, you gotta have the thermal imaging, and you gotta flip that back and forth with this night vision setting. You
see that?
What?
Just a black shadow right there against the wall.
No.
You don't see that?
Uh-uh.
Oh, there's a black shadow standing against the wall right there. Whoa.
What was that?
Same exact time I said that. Did you hear that?
Yep.
Again, friends, a noise is. He thought his friend thinks he sees a shadow. It's got to be a ghost, and he heard a noise. It's got to be the Dybbuk. It's got to be the ghost. That could be anything, friends. There could be somebody walking in the room next to him. I don't know. This does not add up to me. But hey, let's see what happens next.
I see with my own eyes a dark mass, like huddled on the ground, at the same exact time that we both hear a very loud popping noise on that very wall.
You don't see that?
Uh-uh.
Oh, there's a black shadow standing against the wall right.
Yeah, and that's what you got to do too. You got to repeat things in order to fill the episode. They had so little content that these shows, and this one especially, keeps repeating the same thing. I just saw a black shadow on the wall. A few minutes later, let's repeat it again. I mean, it's like they're really trying to milk it. Oh, we kind of missed it here. So he's going to open the box any minute, friends. I won't make you wait 8 hours to see him open the box.
I see with my own eyes a dark mass, like huddled on the ground, at the same exact time that we both hear a very loud popping noise on that very wall.
You don't see that?
Uh-uh.
Oh, there's a black shadow standing against the wall right there.
Oh, God.
What was that?
Oh, unexplained noise. It's got to be a
What
ghost.
was that?
Same exact time I said that. Did you hear that?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
The past 2.5 years.
2.5 years. He hasn't
Sat
opened.
here, closed.
I don't understand. He said in a previous interview that he bought the box 3 years ago. And here on the show, he's saying, you've sat on the shelf here for 2.5 years. Again, he's implying that he's never opened the box. Okay. Let's see him open the box.
Tens of thousands of people coming through here. People have fainted. You've pushed my staff's head into the case. People have seen you. People have heard you. Have you been feeding off of that? You ready?
Okay, so he's finally gonna open the box after 2.5 years. I think he already opened the box, friends. But okay. And, all of this claims of these paranormal experiences that people have, why aren't they on the show telling their experiences? Why isn't he including that? He just says these things, doesn't offer any proof. I have a problem with that. If people are really having these experiences, let's hear from them. But we don't.
There he goes.
Cue the creepy sound effect.
What the hell? Sounded like a child talking.
Yeah, friends. So he opens the box and nothing happened. I'm sorry. Listen, I was waiting for the Dybbuk. I don't know about you. I was waiting for the Dybbuk to jump out of the box, smoke. I don't know, something. Nothing happened. But he's going to claim that all kinds of things happened to him, which makes this his personal experience and his personal claims, and that's it.
I now use the direct link device and I place it inside the Dybbuk box. No voices are coming through, but when I remove the octopus leg candlestick holder, we receive a voice saying a name.
Is that a name?
What?
Kevin Manis is the
Kevin is the original owner. So it just so happens that he put some strange electronic device that can talk through into the box, and the Dybbuk apparently said Kevin, which was the name of the box's previous owner. I'm sorry, call bullshit, Mr. Zach Baggins. I just call bullshit.
the original owner of the Dybbuk box after it left Havila's family.
What is the worst thing that could happen to me opening these two boxes together?
You could die.
Yeah, so, and my friends, we're going to see, we have to let this next part play because it's important.
What?
Kevin, oh
we get
no.
No more voices on the direct link, so I try using a second communication device, the spirit box.
If you have a consciousness, whose consciousness have you taken?
This is truly terrifying, yet absolutely remarkable. Is this the Dybbuk entity intelligently and correctly validating what Kevin told me?
You have the first one, which represents Keter, or the top state of human consciousness.
Yeah, so here's another part that I have a problem with. Now, the originator of this story is working with Zach Baggins, and he claims that there are 10 Dybbuk boxes, and Mr. Baggins claims to have 2 of them. We've never heard this part of the story from the originator of the story. It's not in his book, it's not in the Hollywood screenplay, it's not in any other place other than between Mr. Baggins and this let's open the Dybbuk box thing. So why did the story suddenly get this whole extra section? Well, friends, I believe Mr. Baggins is going to start collecting those other 10 of the 10 Dybbuk boxes. After all, he's got 2 of them now, right? I call bullshit. That part, there was never anything like that in this story. This is brand new, tacked on, slapped on part of the story, just in time for Mr. Baggins to get some more television show deals.
About this Dybbuk box being numbered 1 of 10, containing the consciousness of...
So the ghost box says evil. Very convenient, since you're opening a box with an evil spirit in it. I don't know.
Oh,
We're going to skip ahead to this part.
up here.
Look at this. This is what he calls evidence.
What?
A figure just appeared inside the box.
Are you serious?
I swear. Oh, he's inside the box.
The figure that manifested inside the box on cue after I told it to appear now leaves the box and begins to free float in the back of the room, where I
First of all, I'd like to know if you're seeing an apparition floating in the box, why don't you show us the apparition? Why are you showing us some computer generated nonsense here? And I'm sorry, Mr. Baggins, that's computer generated nonsense. What is that device you're using? Why don't you explain how that device works? Anomaly detected. Okay, this is ridiculous, friends. It's ridiculous. This guy is ridiculous.
saw the shadow crouching down earlier.
Whoa. Whoa.
That's where you saw the shadow.
That's exactly where I saw the shadow.
I immediately grabbed the static detector to see if I can further prove that these figures are paranormal and leaving behind a static energy field.
Yeah, and I want to comment on this. So he makes a big to-do about this, that when the box was not opened, he used the static meter that measures electrostatic fields, electrical fields. He opened the box. There was a big reading all around the box and all over the room. And I just want to say, come on, man. That change can be caused by something as stupid as somebody turning a microwave on in your house. I don't think that's evidence, Mr. Baggins, but that's just me. I'm not a ghost hunter or ghostbuster, so okay.
Oh.
So there's this. Oh.
What the hell? Oh. It's all around it.
I am detecting a static ring of energy wrapping around the box.
A static ring of energy. What kind of energy? What is that device you're using? Again, we don't know. We just have to trust him that before he opened the box, he got no reading on this device. And is that a real scientific device, Mr. Baggins? I've never seen that. I've never seen an instrument like that used in scientific research. It looks more like a Ghostbusters toy to me. My children have Ghostbusters toys, but what do I know?
Now, why is this absolutely amazing? Because before I opened the box, we didn't document a single spike of energy. This now proves that something has been released from the Dybbuk box.
Or a member of the crew released a microwave burrito in another room of the house, and that caused a change in the electric fields in the area. Okay, Mr. Baggins.
All around it. Dude, that was crazy.
It's
There's a
proof.
static energy field around the Dybbuk box.
Whoa. Whoa.
And again, they heard a noise. It's got to be the Dybbuk. They heard a noise. It's definitely got to be the Dybbuk. And I don't even think we want to go through much more of this, but I want to sort of do the end, which is another. It's a performance. This is a performance, friends.
By the Dybbuk box, but because of the coincidental timing, we felt it was very important to inform our viewers of this disturbing information.
Go back into the box. I demand you.
So he's going to just command the Dybbuk to get back in the box. Okay.
The COVID pandemic has sparked an explosion of worldwide.
Yeah, friends. So there was some part at the end with him like rapping on the top of the case, and he's, again, dramaing it up like, oh, I've never done anything like that before. I'm acting so strange. This seems very scripted to me. It seems very hokey. It's not science. So, friends, we'll turn my attention to the live chat. Looks like Ghost Hunter's almost exact. Yeah, I mean, it seems like these shows have sort of a formula, and that formula is, oh, I'm sorry, my lights here conked out on me. I think these lights turn off. They have like a power saving feature every once in a while. They'll shut off. Okay, friends. So what do you guys think in the live chat? Is this Dybbuk box real? Okay, here we go. Paranormal Jiggy, I respect his opinion on ghosts and ghost hunting. I think that Jiggy's probably the only person that's into that stuff that I would trust when he tells me something. Only ghost Baggins ever saw was himself in the mirror before he started tanning. So Jiggy is not a fan. Okay. Almost want to say it sounds like my SDR, software defined radio, when I am side channeled to a strong broadcast. I wouldn't put it past them to use such. Yeah, well, obviously, he predicts in advance that it's going to be compelling and terrifying. How does he know that it was going to be terrifying opening the box in advance? Because it was manufactured to be compelling and terrifying. Good story, Mr. Baggins, but I'm sorry I don't buy it. Six's design. You would never be able to gather a legit electrical field with any accuracy from someone using a handheld device moving around. Call BS, as well as I call BS on that as well. And Six's design. Wow, this is bad. It's just what it is. Computer generated nonsense. Yeah, he could have showed us the real. He said he saw the apparition. But what he showed us was some computer-generated fog and nonsense and something that says, like, anomaly detected. What is that instrument that he's using? Is that real or is that Ghostbusters? I keep joking about Zach Baggins uses Ghostbuster toys because I'm pretty sure that when Ghostbuster toys were a thing, there was some kind of meter, right, that you could detect ghosts with. And I may have had one when I was a kid. You never know. Is he using real scientific instruments here, or is he using some kind of nonsense? And is it made up nonsense? Jiggy says, I was calling him out since Paranormal Hood started. Yeah, I'm not a fan. Not a fan of that guy. I think it's yeah, Jiggy was right. Jiggy, I'm sorry. I should have just called you and said, is this Zach Baggins guy worth watching? And I could have saved myself probably almost, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours. I must have watched all this crap leading up to this thing, waiting for the box opening. And again, big letdown, which is kind of funny, but it is what it is. So, friends, now, finally, we are all up to speed on the entire story of the Dybbuk box. And, I can't say I'm not glad that I did this because this was a story that fascinated me when I first heard it. As time goes on, though, I get less and less interested in this story based on, applying a little bit of critical thinking. The part about now there's 10 Dybbuk boxes, I'm telling you, coming up soon is going to be Zach Baggins finds another Dybbuk box. Then he's going to find another one and another one. And then he's going to have a special where he's going to open all 10 Dybbuk boxes because apparently you need all 10 Dybbuk boxes to get the entire consciousness of the Dybbuk. Like somehow it was divided, the consciousness of this is a whole new part of the story now that nobody ever talked about, including the originator or the previous owner. But now, I guess he needs content. Now, there are 10 Dybbuk boxes somewhere in the world, and each of the Dybbuk boxes contains 1/10 of the consciousness of the Dybbuk. And if you can gather all the boxes together, I guess you get yourself a Dybbuk. I see that coming up. I see him milking this thing for all it's worth. It's a great story. Is it a true story? I think a guy found a weird box and came up with a great story to sell it on eBay. That's what I think. Then it went viral and he went let's write a book. Let's be on TV. This is awesome. Then he sold it for a lot of money to somebody who then sold it for even more money to Mr. Zach Baggins. Everybody who is in possession of the Dybbuk box seems to find a way to make a great deal of money off of it. It makes me think that I should start looking for Dybbuk boxes. Oh, and I did want to say, I was thinking about buying one of those Dybbuk boxes on eBay and opening it live on the show, but then, honestly, they're expensive, and I know it's a joke. It's like, I'm not paying $50 or $100 or even $50 for some wood box somebody found and threw a bunch of trash in and are calling a Dybbuk box. There's no mention of Dybbuk boxes in Jewish mythology, folklore, or history, not until this story. But you got to give these guys credit because they rolled in a lot of good stuff. A lot of mythology got rolled into this story. The Dybbuk is real in Jewish mythology, folklore, and religion. There is a such thing as a Dybbuk spirit. Then the second owner rolled in the Ark of the Covenant by somehow deciding that he was going to build an ark around the Dybbuk box out of acacia wood and 24-karat gold lining, just like the Ark of the Covenant, which would somehow contain the spirit. If you put the box inside this special wood and gold box, I guess he was contained, and then the guy buried it. At least that's how the story goes. But for a time, it was on display in his museum before it made its way to Zach Baggins' Haunted Museum. And, they've rolled a lot of good sort of real things. That's why some of these stories take off, because it just might be true. There's enough meat on the bones there. Like, hey, Dybbuks are real. Binding spirits to objects are real. Maybe this could be a real thing. Maybe there really is a Jewish spirit in that box. That's another thing I just wanted to mention. If it was a Jewish spirit, a Jewish Dybbuk, right, in the box, owned by a Jewish woman, right? Why was it speaking English to Zach Baggins? Wouldn't it have been speaking Yiddish or Hebrew? Just something I noticed. Think of that what you will. But that's another thing that made me doubt it. Like, okay, so this is a Jewish Dybbuk spirit, and it's speaking English through these so-called communication devices that Zach Baggins used. And by the way, there's no scientific evidence whatsoever that a ghost can talk through anything. Nothing proven. It's all made up nonsense. These people go on eBay and go look up ghost talk box. There's all kinds of people selling all kinds of weird devices, and I actually have one. I had one. I'm not sure that I still have one, but curious, I bought one. I'm into electronics, computers. I wanted to see what it was. It was basically a circuit that ran through FM radio and with a random number generator would stop on a station for a certain amount of time each time. How a ghost is supposed to know how to manipulate that to talk through an FM radio? I don't know. Is that real? I don't think so. I think it's nonsense. And these people put these talk boxes up. Come on, man. That's just not science. Like, if it was that easy to talk to a ghost, I'd be talking to my dead relatives every day. And so would you. But it's fun I suppose it's fun to think about the possibilities. What if you could talk to spirits? I gotta tell you, when I was a kid, I loved the Ouija board. That was some creepy shit to play with your friends. And you would do that Ouija board and you'd make your friend swear he wasn't pushing it. You'd swear you weren't pushing it. Is there anything to Ouija boards? I don't know. I think not. But it's fun, right? Ghosts are fun. That's why we've taken sort of a detour here into ghost stuff, and maybe we'll get into some demonology. I love stories of possessions. Always have. Grew up Catholic. The priests scared the hell out of me about demon possession. I happened to, I was a curious young man, and so I think it was probably when I was about maybe 10 years old, I started figuring out that I could get all kinds of weird books from the library. Not my school had a library, but I mean the public library. So I'd go to the public library and I was getting books out on like witchcraft and how to cast spells. There was a book on demonology. My father found these books and freaked the fuck out, convinced that I was going to get possessed by the devil. So, got to get taken, and then have to sit down with a priest who wanted to know why I was reading these books. And I said, well, I've seen your side of the story. I wanted to see the pagan side of the story, or, the other side of the story. And he wasn't terrible. He just kind of explained to me that this stuff leads down a dark path. And if you continue to read this stuff, you'll be influenced by it and you could be possessed by the devil. And so my father, like, as I recall, he took me back to the library with the books on witchcraft and stuff, and sort of told the librarian I'm not allowed to take those books out again. So what did I do? I would ride to the library on my bike and read the books there, not take them home and get in trouble with my father and the priest. So anyway, I've always been kind of fascinated with some of the demonology stuff in Catholicism, and this kind of related to that because this is sort of the Old Testament version of the possession stories and the demon possession. Just interesting stuff to me. So I'll turn my attention to the live chat. Father Malachi. From Ireland. Malachi Martin, aka Michael Seriafin. Is that, I know that name. Father Malachi is an exorcist, is that correct? He's a Catholic exorcist, as I recall. Malachi? Brandon Young says demonology is across all traditions. Yes. I knew a Catholic minister growing up who had a tremendous interest in demons and demonology. In fact, he collected books specifically on different demon names and folklore of what this demon did and that demon did. My father thought that he had an unhealthy interest in these things. Sixth Design remember hearing of him years ago. Yes, Brandon Young. He did like 6 shows with Art Bell. Yes, he was a Catholic exorcist, as I recall, and I recall hearing those shows on Art Bell. He talked about his experiences. And that is a cool thing, to hear those apparently true stories. And it's interesting to know that the Catholics exhaust all possibilities before committing to an exorcism. They'll send people to psychiatrists, doctors, and there has to be certain proofs. The person who is apparently possessed will have had to display certain supernatural abilities, like telling the future, speaking in languages that the possessed person never had access or knowledge of, foreknowledge of coming events, or knowing, for example, like a priest's mother and father's name and that they were dead and when they died. There's been cases like that. So the Catholics, they need proof before an exorcism proceeds. Sixth Design. I listened to nearly every broadcast of Art Bell for the longest time till George Norrie came along. Not a fan of George Norrie. Oh, check out his audiobook, Hostage to the Devil. I definitely will. I'm big into audiobooks, Brandon Young, because I have a 2-hour cabin ride, twice a week usually. So that's 4 hours that I try to dedicate now to audiobooks. You can get through a lot of books on audio in 4 hours a week. Yes, Brandon Young, but even those cases may not necessarily be possession. I agree with you. Yeah, could be a severely mentally ill person who's sort of LARPing and playing at being possessed. There's been cases where that's been kind of proven. certain priests would look into it and be convinced. They go to the bishop, who sends someone a little more experienced in investigating these possession cases and these matters, who finds that the person is using trickery or other means to, let's say, do the proofs that they are indeed possessed. No, I won't bother. And Brandon Young, awesome man, listen to it. I am going to get that one. I'm ready to load up on some new ebooks. I kind of load them on my phone, the audio files, or I bookmark them on my phone on YouTube, because there's a lot of stuff on YouTube as well that I like to listen to. Oh, Amazon, free as an audiobook. Here you go. If you guys want to check out that Hostage to the Devil book by a Catholic exorcist, got to be an interesting thing to read into and to look into. So this is going to be our third and final show on the Dybbuk box. I think we've covered everything adequately. And anybody that's interested in the Dybbuk box, if you watch all 3 parts, you will learn a great deal about this story. I've pretty much devoured everything that I could find on it. Brendan Young, I'll buy it for you, Steve. Not necessary. I have an Amazon Prime account, so it might be super cheap or free for me. But I appreciate that, Brandon Young. Very nice. So, as I mentioned to Solar Marshall earlier, we're going to be continuing with the strange case of Sarah Adams. That should be coming in the next couple of days. I'm just kind of waiting her out, doing these sessions with somebody else so that we can talk to the person that's terminally ill that she's doing these sessions with. We're going to talk to her manager, somebody else that works for her. And then I'm going to talk about my experience with the second 2 sessions with her, as well as a lot of this background information that I found, which just gave me tremendous doubts about her current claims. Let's just leave it at that for now. Brandon Young says that book is pretty good. I learned a lot. Yeah, Brandon, that's right up my alley. A lot of people may be unaware, but I was raised Catholic, very Catholic, like very Catholic. I had 10 years of Catholic school. I was an altar boy, and they sent me to the seminary to try to brainwash me into becoming a priest. Was not having that. I considered it for a long time, though. But in the end, the whole monogamy thing just kind of kills it for most young men. Sort of left the Catholic faith long ago. I still consider myself a Christian, however, but definitely not a Catholic. Catholics, I don't know. I think that they have a lot of problems, and they're very profit-centered and centered on money. The best example I can cite is when a school is no longer profitable, even if it's really, really needed in a certain bad neighborhood, they just close it. As soon as they can't make a good deal of profit, they just close down churches, close down schools, even if the communities need them. Seems very unchristian-like thing to do, to close a school that people desperately need in the inner city because it's not profitable enough for you, where you have other schools that are super profitable in the more affluent areas that maybe you could draw some money from to help those poor people. No, fuck those poor people. Close that school, close that church. Don't get me started on the Catholics. So, but I think there's a nice tie-in with what I've already known about Catholicism and demons and demon possession and exorcism to look into this Dybbuk story. Again, this Dybbuk is sort of the Jewish version of a possessing spirit. Well, actually, it might be the same entity for all we know. They're the same kind of entity, after all. Our forefathers in Christianity were Jews. So could be the same thing for all we know. Sixth design. My daughter buys books from Amazon. I have to say it is incredibly easy to do both fire version or hard soft covered books. Yeah, I'm not big on ebooks. I like audiobooks though because I can listen to them while I'm driving somewhere. Not big on ebooks at all. Hate them. I would much rather have a physical book in my hand if I'm going to read. Uh, I just, I don't know. There's something about ebooks I just don't like. You know, I like the physical sensation of the book. I like old books. I like the smell of old books. I like picking up an old book and leafing through it. Ebooks just something is lost in an ebook. Brendan Young says even black magicians worship the demons of Solomon. Interesting. Heard a lot about the demons of Solomon and how they built Solomon's temple. Apparently, he had some kind of mystical ring where he could control the demons, which I found fascinating as a young person studying scripture. Uh, yeah, apparently Solomon had some sort of magic ring where he could command and control the demons, and he used them to help in the design and construction of Solomon's temple. Sixth design. Me too. Audiobooks can dump information to the brain fast. Yes, absolutely. The Gosha demons. BGs. I agree. I prefer to hold the book. Yeah, me too. I'm not a fan of this. I'm really not a fan of ebooks. I tried a bunch of different Fire and another ebook sort of tablet. Just but I will say, like, it's a tremendous value. Like, you can buy 100 ebooks for the cost of like one physical book. Sometimes depends on what you're buying. So if you're on a budget and you really want to learn, great. The other thing that I do have a tremendous collection of PDFs. So, but usually they're to do with computer programming and technical subjects. So I could put them up on a big screen on a desktop and go through them. But even them, I'd rather have a physical book. I'd really rather have a physical book. There's something called O'Reilly books if you're a computer guy. Great books on just about any subject. Yeah, Genocide says, I love Audible books. I listen while work all the time. Yeah, and I like audiobooks because it makes me feel like I'm doing something productive during that drive time to the cabin instead of, you know, I don't know, listening to music. I do that too. I've been like using that 4 hours a week for either audiobooks or, gee, there's this album, and I like albums of music. I'm not a singles guy. Don't play me the single. I want to listen to the entire album. So I pick albums that I really want to hear. For a while, I did all the David Bowie albums from the first album he created to the last one. I listened to his entire sort of discography. I started that shortly after he died, and that was a cool experience. And again, I feel like I'm using that time because I'm driving, but I'm pretty focused on the music as well, sometimes too focused. So, friends in the live chat, what do we think of this Dybbuk story now that we've digested all of this? I am very doubtful that the story is true. I'm very doubtful, especially now that Mr. Zach Baggins is involved. I think it was Jiggy, Paranormal Jiggy said, if he's involved, that thing's fake as shit. Which I thought is funny because, I mean, the guy is kind of a paranormal huckster. Very successful, though. The guy's on a bunch of different television shows. And I saw somewhere along the research trail, his girlfriend is Holly Madison from Playboy. You know, I think she was one of Hugh Hefner's. I never understood that thing. Did he have 4 girlfriends living with him, Hugh Hefner, right? The girls next door? Anyway, Holly Madison was the hot blonde one. Well, one of the hot blonde ones. That's his girlfriend now. So God bless Zach Baggins. Maybe I should start hunting ghosts and selling some ghost bullshit. I got to get me some Ghostbuster toys to make it convincing, and I got to order a creepy sound effect CD from eBay. That's another thing. Like, I think they ham it up too much. Yeah, Paranormal Jiggy has the second longest ghost hunting show. I did not know that. I did not know that. Six's design, interesting but very questionable. I really would like it if someone took a much more serious look into the boxes, something apparently rare nowadays. Yeah, I mean, if he really wants to get to the bottom of it, first of all, I would bring in scientists with real scientific instruments that could measure all kinds of things and see if there's any anomalies. Um, I may even say, well, the the other play that I didn't see him make yet, but we're going to see it. You heard it here first, folks. This is my prediction. There is going to be a show where a psychic is introduced to the box, and we'll see what the psychic says. I'm telling you, friends, it's coming. It's coming. He hasn't done that play yet, and they all seem to go to that play eventually. Brad Gray, sounds like Baggins had a couple of expensive boxes. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Stephen, you can always get Zach a box of Dybbuk dildos? I don't know. Six's design, same here. If there is real science to back it up, I might actually believe it. Yeah, that's where I'm at. That is where I'm at. Okay. Baggins has a Charles Manson blood painting in his museum. That's great. Little creepy, Mr. Baggins. Why would you want a painting done by a murderer in the first place, let alone a painting made in blood by a convicted murderer? And nut job. Okay, let's see. BG's. I believe that spirits can haunt items. I may agree with you. Yeah, so that's why I'm leaving open. Here's how I feel about this Dybbuk box. First of all, it's a great story. It's compelling, and it draws you in. And you got to hear more about this box and what's in it, and why is all this stuff happening to all these people. And you throw in some real historical Jewish mythology, like the story of the Dybbuk. It's a great story. I'd like to see a lot more science around it if people are going to claim that this is real and that there's real paranormal phenomenon. I'd like to see more science and less speculation, less of this garbage. I'm sorry, what we saw tonight was garbage. He hyped opening this box for 8 hours. In television time, 8 hours is a long time. 8 hours of television, right? Then he finally opens the box, and we see nothing happened, except for like a really loud, creepy sound effect when he opened the box that they added in post. Come on, friends. And really, we're supposed to believe that Zach Baggins had this box for, well, he did say 3 years. In this show, he said 2.5 years sitting on a shelf, and he never opened it. Okay. So I don't know, it just gets, it's kind of like this story suffers from UFO disease too. Remember, I've talked about UFO disease. You come out with your UFO story, you make those rounds on all the television shows and on the UFO speaker circuit. You tell your great UFO story for a few years. You're going to get a good run out of that really good, well-crafted UFO or alien story. But inevitably, people tire of the original story and you need new material. In this case, the story faded away. After the Hollywood movie, I didn't hear anything about the Dybbuk box for years and years and years, and neither did anybody else. Suddenly, Zach Baggins buys the box, and now the originator of the story is now saying that this is one of 10 Dybbuk boxes. Where did this addition to the story come from? And somehow, the originator of the story knows that each of those 10 Dybbuk boxes holds 1/10 of the consciousness of the Dybbuk. I'm telling you, friends, this is a setup for future content. That's my belief. That's speculation, but that's how I feel about this. Yeah, Brad Gray says Baggins has been opening and closing that box. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, they would much rather possess a person than a house. Even Stephen King has told us this. And they are bound to a physical manifestation. Okay, Philip Blair. I'm not a fan of David Whitehead because he's mean six signs. If that's what you mean, I unsubscribed after his rant against trans people. It wasn't pretty, but Carolyn Cossie was pretty. Don't know anything about that, Philip Blair, but sorry you had a bad experience. You know, I got to tell you, I got to struggle with some of those trans issues myself because I had a few people in my life that identified as female, and you got to remember to call them her. And if you don't, you're kind of an asshole. And you know, my apologies. I at least try to, you know, you want to be called her, okay, whatever makes you happy, whatever floats your boat. I don't mean to be offensive to people or not do, you know, like I try. That's all I can do. And I try to be open-minded too, because it's got to be a difficult thing to deal with. But Zach seems fake. Fake as fuck. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't even think it's a real Dybbuk box. It's a replica, right? No, Brandon Young apparently. Okay, so here's the sequence of events. The originator of the story had the original box, and then he sold it to this medical museum curator. And that person created a replica of the box after he encased the original box in an ark, basically made of acacia wood and gold to enclose the spirit or trap the spirit. So the second owner made this ark after his research. I don't know what research tells you that an acacia box, a box made of acacia wood lined in 24 karat gold, can trap a spirit, but apparently he believed that or discovered that through his research. So he encased the original box in another box, and that secondary box was supposed to sort of entrap the spirit. So after he encased the spirit in that box, and I have let me get that up on the screen for you. I have a graphic of the box here inside the other box. So we can see this is a box. This is the original Dybbuk box, and it was placed inside this box made of acacia wood, lined, as we can see, in 24 karat gold. Then, apparently, this gentleman, the second owner of the box, buried it in a military box 6 feet into the earth. Then, for his museum purposes, he created a perfect replica of the box. Now, to my understanding, Mr. Baggins purchased the original Dybbuk box, but also got the recreated box from the second owner. So he's got a fake and the original real one. Which one are we seeing? I have no idea. No idea. Okay. Philip Blair, The Lion, the Witch, and the Dybbuk Box, streaming this fall on Netflix, produced by Stephen Cambion. Hey, honestly, I need some money, Philip Blair. If there's some money in that, I might be selling Dybbuk boxes on eBay real soon. I gotta tell you. BG says, dildo box, Philip. Dildo box, Philip. Yeah. So, friends, I think we're at an end of this rabbit hole. And isn't that a good thing, though, to know, look, I did my due diligence. I went down this rabbit hole pretty good. I opened every door that I saw that might give me some insight into this box, whether it was real or not. You know, it's almost like I was very disappointed to hear that Zach Baggins was involved now, because I sort of already knew that I would agree with Jiggy that if Zach Baggins is involved, it's probably fake as shit. But God bless him. If, you know, he's doing what he likes and making money off of that box, good for him. Philip Blair says, those grapes on the box, I'm guessing those are the grapes of wrath. No, actually, Philip Blair, it's because, let me put that one back up. It's actually, the grapes on the box are because this is a wine box originally. You would put bottles of wine in it. Okay. And 6 is design. That's what I get from the Dybbuk box. Reminds me so much of the Ark of the Covenant, Brandon. Yeah, it's interesting that they sort of wove the Ark of the Covenant into the story. You know, this is kind of what happens, friends. This has become a legend. It's really become a legend. The legend of the Dybbuk box. Just, call it folklore, but I think that people are going to be talking about this Dybbuk box for a long time, decades, maybe hundreds of years, because it's a great and compelling story. I'll give them that. If this is a manufactured story, it's a well done manufactured story, because, like I said, they wove in some historical facts and things that would seem to indicate the story was true. The original owner even got his mother to tell the story of her having a stroke right after she opened the box. And in regard to her, I'll say that she was very convincing. She got so emotional when she was talking about what happened to her, made me go, wow, there must be something to this. It's only when, you really start looking into this that I started having more doubts and more doubts. And, and like I said, the addition of this new storyline that there's 10 Dybbuk boxes now, and this is just one of them. Again, the originator of the story never said anything about this 10 Dybbuk box theory up until Zach Baggins got involved. Now suddenly there's 10 Dybbuk boxes and Mr. Baggins has 2 of them. Do I not think he's going to be trying to buy the other 8 of them? Yeah, friends. He's going to try to buy the other 8 of them. That's going to be another television show for him. Finding the Dybbuk, right? It is a great story. Do they have evidence of his mom having a stroke? Brad Gray, I don't know. His mother told a very convincing story. I didn't ask for medical records. I didn't see medical records. Could she have been making it up? Maybe. I don't know. For all we know, she could have been an actress hired to play his mother. I don't know. But she did tell a compelling story. Apparently that was his mother. So, yeah, we shouldn't speculate on whether it was his mother or not. We'll take him at his word that was his mother. His mother told a very convincing story. She opens the Dybbuk box. She felt a rush of cold air come towards her and then instantly had a stroke, a life-threatening stroke that put her into an ambulance and the ER in the hospital for some time. Yes, Philip Blair, you got to collect the whole set of Dybbuk boxes, because not one, if you can make a shit ton of money off this one Dybbuk box, imagine how much money you could make if you collected all 10 Dybbuk boxes. Zach Baggins, you're on to something. And I don't know why, but Zach Baggins, is it Bilbo Baggins or something? There's a guy got his name from Lord of the Rings? Really? Oh, let's see. Graham Hancock has a great book and audiobook on the Ark of the Covenant. It was his first book on unconventional history and legend, beautifully written. I want to check that out. I have a thing for the Ark of the Covenant. Maybe it's growing up with Raiders of the Lost Ark, but I love, if I see a documentary like Finding the Ark, I got to watch it. I got to see if they find it. They're never, folks, they're never going to find it. But that's a compelling story. There's a compelling story that the Ark of the Covenant is in Africa. And there's this whole tribe of African, Jews, basically, who are guarding the Ark of the Covenant. Nobody could see it but the high priest. I don't know. Again, that's another story I'm not sure that I believe, but it's a compelling story, and it is just fun. I grew up Catholic, so we heard about the Covenant, the Ark of the Covenant, so much. And I remember asking the priests lots of questions, like, could it be a power source? And he was like, what do you mean? Could it be a power source? Well, could it be some kind of power source? None of the priests could answer most of my questions very well about the Ark of the Covenant. Brad Gray, maybe the spirit of the box farted when she opened it. Maybe. Yeah, maybe that was the cold air that she felt. I don't know. I don't know. But that was the clip that got me copyright stricken down. And my video, part one of the Dybbuk box story here, was taken down for 2 days on YouTube. And I kept telling YouTube, like, it's okay, clip the copyrighted clip out and put my video back. I think it took 3 tries before YouTube, and it took out one portion first and left the other one, so it was still stricken. And then this, I don't know. I don't know what happened. So many good movies on the Ark of the Covenant, too. Seen quite a few of them. Yeah, there seems to be a lot of interest in that and a lot of documentaries, which leads me to believe, Six's Design, that we are going to take a deep dive into the Ark of the Covenant. I'd also like to do one on what Brandon Young mentioned earlier, which is Solomon's Demons. I can't get my brain around Solomon's Demons as a story because I grew up Catholic where you did not mess with demons. But Solomon apparently had his own demons that helped him design things and build his temple. Interesting story too. And so is the Ark of the Covenant. Yeah, so friends, I think we're going to call this show tonight a wrap, and we're going to call the short series that we did. Now we've got 3 episodes here on the Dybbuk box. I think for anybody that really wants to learn about this Dybbuk box thing, these 3 shows would be great for anybody interested in the Dybbuk box, because we give the history, some cultural significance. We tell a story from the original owner, some of the information from the second owner, and now, of course, we've moved on to the current owner, Zach Baggins, and his opening of the Dybbuk box. I think it was a fun trip to go through all of this stuff and to sort of revisit this story, see if anything new happened. And much to my surprise, lots of new stuff happened soon after Mr. Zach Baggins purchased the box. So there we have it, friends. If you guys have suggestions for future shows, you can email me at truthseekershow, TruthSeekershow, truthseekershow@gmail.com. We've got a lot of great stuff coming up. I have a huge folder, and I've got a bunch more topics that are locked, loaded, already researched, and ready to bring to you guys. If you like content of this type, there's 2 ways that you can support me. The first is to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And then maybe post this on your social media. Tell your friends about this show, Truth Seekers, that you come to watch and participate in. And let's try to get our audience built. It's funny to me, it's having a lot of people from my previous show are having a hard time figuring out that I'm back, but it'll happen eventually. I've kind of resigned myself to not look at the numbers, but like, comment, subscribe, share, email a couple of friends that you know they're into this stuff, the show, YouTube channel address, so that they can subscribe. Ask your friends to subscribe. That would be really help me. Also, if you could retweet or share these shows on your social media, that would be very helpful as well. The second way you can help me, and a few people have just recently, I'm going to try to find this right now. This could go too well here. Sorry, friends. Just bear with me. So the other way that you can support me is through Patreon. The best way to support me financially right now, really the only way, is through Patreon. and I was trying to get into my Patreon if I can remember the password. I don't know about anybody else, but I've got way too many passwords. Yes. Okay, so how do I thank my Patreon supporters? Okay, first of all, we had 3 new patrons sign up this month. And unlike a lot of people, I don't have any tiers. If you support me on Patreon, it's just $1 a month. And for that, you get an audio journal every month, and I will be giving people some free content from the Mind Hack Project. You get Altos, my alternative operating system, all the support that you need to get it running, get it working, and get it really performing well for you to create content of your own on. So this month we had 3 new patrons that I just want to give a shout out to. That would be Kel Truth 77, Reem C. Shout out to Reem C, longtime supporter. She's given her $1, and John Ledford has also given his $1. And I want to see if I can. Yeah, I'm going to have a hard time doing this. I was going to shout out all the patrons, but I think we're going to make a graphic and a bumper. I see Cheryl M., Paul Coling, Courtney Cowley, Brooklyn G., Ari Stone, Catherine Claudio, Christopher Bales. Some of these people may have dropped in my absence, but if you did, I don't blame you. It's a tough time right now. Brooklyn G., Pneumotechnic, Maria Ann Farkas, Courtney Cowley, Lisa Murphy. I think that's about all of them. Some of these people may no longer be patrons. I'd like to invite you back now that I'm producing content again. Don't blame you one bit. If you seemed like when the COVID thing hit, a lot of people dropped their $1, and I don't blame you. It is rough out there, friends, in financial land for many people, including me. I would really like to get a small income from Patreon. I think I'm getting $40 a month. You know what my dream is? If I could get like 2,000 people to sign up on Patreon, I would spend all of my time doing creative artistic things with my time. I would spend 100% of my time, no more day job, just produce content and do things for the people that are supporting me, the patrons. And I think that's a very reasonable goal. So for $1 a month, you can support me continuing to work on this show and a bunch of other artistic stuff. If you're a Patreon supporter, you get sort of a backstage pass and access to everything, and before the general public does. So if I'm writing something, you get to see it first. If I produce new music, you get to see it first. Updates to this Mind Hack system, you get the free demos before it becomes a retail ready product. It's $1 a month to support me and get those benefits. I would sincerely appreciate you guys, anybody that has $1 to spare. You know, I'm gonna get my begging bowl out and tell you that money is not the root of all evil, friends. The root of all evil is lack of money. And I know it's rough out there for everybody. So if you don't have $1, just come and support me. If you really want those Patreon benefits and you honestly don't have the $1, but you're a supporter of my show and my work, just email me at truthseekershow@gmail.com. I'll give you the links to the free stuff. We are very generous with our supporters here. So, friends, it has been a fun time going back down the Dybbuk box rabbit hole, and I am glad that you guys got to come along with me. And it's kind of like giving you guys a view of what goes into some of the strange rabbit holes that I go down. And here on Truth Seekers, we're going to be covering some of the weirdest stories on the internet. That's part of what we do here, or will be doing, and doing much more of. I'm hoping to increase our content output. This week we did 3 shows already. The week's not done. And the good news is I'll be going to the cabin without children for the next 3 or 4 days. I should be able to produce a few more of the shows in my huge folder over there. I've got, like I said, locked and loaded research materials for each show. I've got a bunch of topics ready to go. We've got some upcoming guests. Friday night, we're going to have The Context. We're going to be talking about Peter Slattery. So that's going to be a fun night. Friday night, tentatively at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you got to come and see that show because this Peter Slattery is a laugh riot of alien bullshittery. And you're going to want to hear this. You're going to want to see this. It's going to be a fun time if you like to make fun. Like I'm a terrible person. I like to make fun of these alien bullshit artists. It's just fun. Peter Slattery's got a graphic he shows people of the aliens he talks to, and included in that graphic is, let's see, E.T., the Avatar aliens, and I think the Silver Surfer, right on the graphic. That guy's ridiculous, so it's going to be a really fun time. Well, friends, it has been a long day. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. I had a good time, and I hope you did too. Until next time, folks, my name is Stephen Cambion, reminding you that sometimes a story may not be true, but it's still fun finding out. Good night, folks.